And welcome back to Square Off. We're continuing our conversation on Phoenix's Prop 105. I'm joined by Shannon Scutari. She is on the no side, and Jeremiah Cota. He is with the yes side on Prop 105. Shannon, has anybody studied how many businesses have gone out of business over the last several years as light rail construction has proceeded?
So what I can tell you is that, I do absolutely agree with Jeremiah and a lot of the folks that he works with. Transportation infrastructure is very disruptive. It's very difficult, and it's very hard to go from car-centric areas, which we've been in the Valley for 50 plus years, to transit-oriented. It's very challenging. But what I'll tell you is that there have at least been 450 businesses that have been consulted with along the line, and there are 109 businesses right now that are in active work with Valley Metro and the City of Phoenix on business assistance.
You're talking about in South Phoenix or just the entire line?
In South Phoenix.
In South Phoenix alone?
Just in South Phoenix. And so the importance is for folks to understand that they have a pathway to ownership. That's the key, and that's the solution. Not taking out a major transportation mode, but actually helping businesses and residents have a path to ownership.
Is that good enough, Jeremiah, for those businesses?
I would say take a look down, go down South Central Avenue and see all the business owners who have sided with us, who agree that this is going to have a devastating impact to their business. This was, again, brought up by the citizens and South Phoenix business owners who stopped this when the city refused to listen to us. And they also said that it would reduce traffic to 2 lanes. I talked to a small business owner the other day.
So 1 lane north and 1 lane south on Central Avenue.
Correct.
And going down to Baseline.
And I talked to a business owner just the other day, and she's worried. It took her 2 years to finally get up on her feet. She just started a business. Her and her husband are now thinking of relocating. They're going to see how this vote plays out. And if this vote and if Proposition 105 goes down, then they're going to have to relocate. She's worried about the devastating impact. She told me, she looked me in her eyes and says, we cannot last 4 years of construction. And that's exactly what's going on here.
So again, why not just stop the South Phoenix line? If that's the problem.
Again, our proposition doesn't stop anything. It doesn't impact current line. There's nothing stopping citizens.
It stops the South Phoenix extension.
It stops the South Phoenix extension, but there's nothing stopping residents from bringing another initiative. Look, we gathered together because we care about our community. That's what we are asking for. And there's nothing stopping citizens from bringing another initiative forward to ask for light rail in their community. What we are specifically asking for is light rail not to be in our community, and we're specifically asking for a transit plan that makes sense for our community, that's clean, modern, efficient bus system, fixes our roads. Every dollar that's spent on light rail is spent not fixing our roads.
Shannon.
So I'd be really careful about picking one mode of transportation over another in a growing region that's adding 2 million people. It's doubling over the next 20 years. The reason I started to become passionate about transportation as I was working in the city of Tempe, and I was actually working really closely with residents and schools that were close to US 60, and they were fighting the US 60 expansion, the freeway expansion. And part of the reason that they were challenging it is because those were their neighborhoods and those were the areas. I understand how disruptive transportation infrastructure is, but we realized back then if we didn't have an alternative to 1 car and 1 person in 1 car, then all of those neighborhoods would be paved over and all of those schools would be paved over. So I would be very, very careful about saying we want all this pavement, because it adds to the heat island effect. It adds to a real challenge of, I understand the lane restrictions are challenging, but it forces people to walk and bike, and actually a high capacity transit line going right down the middle of Central. And the other issue too is that if you don't have the shade and the comfortable walking and the other way to live, you can't offer other types of housing options to accommodate that growth.
Okay, got to end it there. When we come back, some questions about the ballot itself, what it means and how to understand it, how to read it. Stay with us.